Hello and welcome. I am coming today with a 15-minute Yin Yang practice. So this is something you could do first thing in the morning, even after day at work or winding down, getting ready for bed. We are going to come and start lying down on our mat, so come on down with me. We're just going to start by taking up some space. We always want to open our practice by dropping in and really taking stock of where we're at. So I like to begin that process with 2 nice deep inhales. So drawing in a full body breath. And then big sigh, let it go. One more nice big inhale. Big sigh. And just allowing that breath to drop you a little bit deeper. Allow your physical body to begin softening. Asking it to land as heavy as possible. Maybe noticing that you have slight imbalances throughout the body. Checking to see if you can bring those areas into balance, and if not, you're just taking that as information. Just again, allowing yourself to meet you where you're at. And then for our first posture today, we'll take butterfly pose. So you can draw the soles of the feet together, letting the knees draw away from each other. You're more than welcome to use pillows, or if you have yoga blocks at home, you can support your knees here. I'm going to offer you a little bit of yang within this yin posture. So you can just start to gently draw the legs together and then away from one another. I would encourage you to bring your hands onto your hip bones so that you can make sure your pelvis is staying really nice and still as you're gently gliding the leg bones in the hip sockets. Prioritizing a nice smooth flowing breath and a nice smooth movement. So you may notice that you might feel sort of some clicking or clunking as you move. We want to avoid running over that adhesion in the musculature. So you're just finding that space where you can control the movement, and it's really smooth and really stable. That's how you're going to get nice equal strength all the way along the muscle. Couple more times here. Noticing if you have one leg that maybe wants to open a little bit further, or maybe it wants to lead the movement. You want to do your best to have the legs moving in tandem, or like 2 mirror images. And then on this last one, I'll invite you to soften into stillness, drawing more down towards that yin end of the spectrum. So again, feel free to support your legs here, especially if you're finding that there's any pulling on the knees. If you'd like a little bit of opening into the upper body, you could draw the arms away from the body, palms face up. Just choosing a distance away from the body that allows the shoulders to stay away from the ears and the ribs to stay heavy towards the ground. And then I'm going to invite you really to just listen to your breath here. Follow it as it enters your body. Follow it as it leaves your body. Always encouraging it to make its way in and out of the nose. We generally use the breath as an anchor to the present moment. As with each new breath, we stay present. We can feel our breath moving through the body, so we can engage different senses to keep it connected or to keep it front of mind. Allow yourself about 3 more breaths here. And then drawing the legs back together nice and slowly. You can invite in a little bit of organic movement here. Often a windshield wiper of the knees is really nice, maybe a big stretch overhead. Really just want to notice what it feels like to move after a bout of stillness. And then we're going to combine 2 postures into one for our next pose. So we're going to take figure 4 in the legs. So you can start with the knees bent. If you do find you have a limited range of motion within the hips, let your legs be quite far away from the body. You're going to cross the left ankle over the right leg. Now, as I did that, I have my hands on my hip bones because we want to do our best to make sure the hips stay really nice and stable as we just move through the leg. So here eventually we let the foot rest on the leg. Now remember, your leg could be completely straight if that's what's available for your knee. So allow yourself to play with that range. Where does it fit best for you? Where does it allow you to keep your pelvis stable? Now from here, I'm going to encourage you to find that little bit of yang, so that little bit of effort, by gliding your leg bone in your hip socket. So we'll be drawing the left knee towards the center line of the body and then drawing it away from the body. So a little bit of rotation happening in the leg here. And the more you can continue breathing in that nice smooth rhythm, you'll be able to keep the body relaxed. But you'll also create extra stability through the pelvis as it responds to your breath. So you could choose stillness here if you prefer. Or maybe you're dropping in and out of a little bit of movement, just exploring what's more suitable for your body today. From here, letting the knees soften open as wide as is comfortable or as far as it will go. And then we're going to add a twist here. So we're just going to let the legs come over to the right. So the left sole of the foot will plant on the earth, and then the outside of the right leg comes to the earth. Now, again, you can draw the arms into a nice wide T. Sometimes it's nice to have the left hand on the rib cage here, encouraging it to stay grounded as we encourage the hips to stack. If your foot doesn't come all the way down to the earth, no problem at all. You can always put a bolster, a block, or some pillows underneath your foot and leg, just helping support it as far over as feels comfortable. And then once again, we just drop into that little bit of stillness. If you'd like to work through some movement here, you would want to keep your rib cage grounded and just work on that little bit of spinal twist. So left hip stacking on top of right. You could come back and forth here, just leading this movement now with the hip. Breathing for that stability. And I'm just using my right foot as a pivot point here. So I'm going to allow myself to fall into stillness. But again, if movement was a little bit better for you, you choose a movement. That's the beauty of this yin yang practice, is that yin yang is a spectrum, and we can choose to be anywhere along the spectrum, whether it's in complete stillness on the very yin end or and a very vigorous movement all the way on the yang end of the spectrum. I'm going to count out 5 more breaths here. Just really focusing on nice long exhales. And breathing in and out of the nostrils to filter the air. And also to breathe more efficiently and calm the nervous system. And then with an exhale, drive back up through center. And we're going to release both legs long down the mat here and just check in and notice how one leg feels compared to the other. I always like to take this time to check in because there is often subtle changes that will happen in the body, but if we move too quickly, we won't notice them. So coming into the other side now, making sure the pelvis is nice and stable. We're going to cross right ankle over left and then guide the right ankle up the left leg. From here, I'm just taking a bit of a bend through the left knee. That all happened without any movement in my pelvis, so I'm good to stay here. But again, you choose that anywhere along the way. And then gliding the right leg bone in the hip socket. Nice stable pelvis. Almost thinking of my leg bone like a corkscrew. Just rounding in and then rounding out. Again, trying to prioritize a nice smooth movement here. And do about 3 more, and then just check in with a little bit of stillness. Now again, you can choose whether you want to continue moving. Makes it a little bit more therapeutic versus yin if you're using that movement within the posture. Generally, I find a little bit of that isolated movement helps all the musculature relax a little bit more. So even after a few times, there'll be a little bit more range. Now I'm going to let the legs drop over to the left this time and using my left foot as a pivot point. Hands on the rib cage to keep it fairly nice and stable here. So once again, left foot is the pivot point. I'm leading with my right hip, guiding it to stack over top of the left. Doing my best to keep the ribs nice and grounded here. Couple more. And then I'm going to settle into stillness again. So gliding the legs as far to the left as they'll go. Now my ribs are popping up just a touch here, so normally I would suggest just a little something underneath the foot there so that the ribs can stay entirely grounded. And then we isolate this movement to a spinal twist. And just settling into the rhythm of the breath, maybe choosing a bit of an opening through the shoulders. About 5 more breaths here. Doing your best to stay present. Stay connected to the sensations in your body. And then we'll draw the hips back up through center, unravel the legs. Again, give yourself just a little bit of organic movement here. And then we're going to make our way over onto hands and knees. So take your time here. You can roll over onto the side and then make your way up. You can find that little bit of rocking motion coming straight up. We're just going to finish with a little bit more yang here. So once we find ourselves on hands and knees, allow yourself just to shift around through a little bit of organic movement. A couple rounds of cat-cow. It's always good to gaze over one shoulder and then the other. That helps give us some lateral movement through the spine. From here, you're going to tuck the toes. Start to walk the hands back towards the knees, lifting the knees, landing in a forward fold at the back of the mat. So remain fairly deeply bent in the knees, head hanging heavy. And allow yourself just, again, straightening through one leg and then the other. Some organic movement here, a little bit of a wiggle. Bend the knees fairly nice and deeply, sending your bum back. Press down, root to rise. Sweep the arms up overhead as you come. Exhale, releasing the palms through heart center. With an inhale, let the arms draw up overhead. Exhale, twist to the left, dropping the arms into a T as you twist. Be mindful to keep the hips parallel to the top of the mat, gazing out over the back shoulder. Sweeping the arms up overhead, we'll come back through center, release the arms down. Give yourself a little bit of a wiggle here. Flowing through a half vinyasa, arms sweep up. Exhale, fold forward, hinge at the hips. Lift the sit bones, belly to thighs. Head hangs heavy at the bottom here. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Holding here, bend the knees, send the bum back and down. Root to rise, press down, sweep up, reach up. Releasing the palms through heart center. We'll find our twist to the other side, so arms draw up. As you exhale, find a twist to the right, reaching back with the right arm. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, looking out over your back shoulders, hips still, nice and square to the top of the mat. And then drawing back up through center, both arms come up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips, belly to thighs, head hangs heavy. From here, you're going to walk your hands forward, bringing the knees back down to the earth. We'll bring the right foot forward here. Now, it might take a little bit for you to get your foot forward. All good. Take your time. Just bring it forward. And then we're just going to settle into a little bit of back and forth here. So hips are sinking towards the top of the mat as we draw forward. And then as we press back, hips draw towards the back of the mat, pushing into the right foot. Draw forward. Find yourself a little bit of a sink here. Let the heart lift, shoulders soften away from the ears, and then press back. Draw forward and back. Again, finding a rhythm. Next time you come forward, you can find yourself with the right knee stacked over the right ankle. We're going to bring the left hand underneath the face, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, sink the hips nice and strongly here. I like the right hand on the right thigh as we start to open up into a twist to the right, pressing strongly out through your back heel. Top arm can reach up towards the sky, maybe gaze up, but that's just an option. Be sure and draw the shoulder blade onto your back if you're reaching up. Release the hand, release the knee. Front foot or right foot goes back. Let's take about 3 breaths in a child's pose here. So knees spread as wide as is comfortable. Big toes together to touch. Sit bones draw towards the heels. Let your forehead come down towards the earth. Now, if your forehead doesn't reach or your bum is way up here, all good. You can always just support yourself on the palms. Or maybe you want movement here instead of stillness. You could stay on hands and knees and just glide yourself back and forth. Working on that hip compression. So right here we get compression as we draw back. And then we'll all come up to meet on hands and knees, this time bringing the left foot forward. So if you need to come up to a kneeling position, to step your foot forward and then bring your hands back down, all good. There's always options. So play around with what works for you here. And then we're gonna find that glide again. Now if you find your hands don't meet the earth, this is where blocks are nice, but you can use books, you can use soup cans, just a little something to get you a little bit higher but still connected to the ground. Sinking the hips forward. Think about keeping them level behind you. And then pushing into your left foot, lengthen the left leg. And again, just that back and forth here, nice gentle glide so that we get length on the hamstring or the back of the front leg. And then length on the back hip as we draw forward, compression on the front hip. Think about actively pushing into your left foot. Three more. Back and forth. Maybe you can go a little further each time. Last time back. Last time forward. We're going to stack left knee over left ankle. Right hand underneath the face this time. Tuck the back toe, lift the back knee. Now you can always keep this dropped if that feels better. But you want to think about pushing strongly through your back heel as you sink your hips down. Left hand to left thigh, find the twist. So you're opening your heart to the left. Reach the left arm up. If you like, drawing the shoulder blade onto the back. So be careful it's not pulling forward. We really want to draw it towards the spine, away from the ear. One last breath here. And then we'll unravel. Hands frame the front foot. This time step forward, forward fold. Nice deep bend in the knees here, belly resting on thighs. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Holding here, send the knees back and down. Bend, root, push, draw up. Exhale, palms at heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, folding forward, hinging at the hips, belly to thighs, head hangs heavy at the bottom. Inhale, half lift, long spine, hold here. So think about lifting your sit bones off of your legs. Knees are fairly soft so that we can drive the sit bones up. Crown of the head reaching forward, shoulder blades onto the back. Slide your right foot back, grounding the entire foot on the earth. Keep the sit bones square to each other, but still lifting off of the legs. We're going to add one more twist here. So left hand to the low back, right hand to the outside of the left leg. Start to stack left shoulder on top of right. Keep firmly grounded into your back foot as well as your front foot. And nice and level across your low back. Just the upper body twists open. Nice, smooth, flowing breath. Maybe one more reach of the arm up, just as much as the shoulder will allow. And then we'll come back through center, bend the knees, press down, root to rise. Exhale, palms through heart center. I'm going to go to the other end of the mat so that I'm still facing you when I twist. I will sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips. Lift the sit bones off of the legs here. Hang heavy. Half lift. Heart reaches forward, sit bones lift. This time, left foot goes back. Yep, I had to double check. Making sure the hips are nice and level across the low back. Right hand is there to help make sure. Left hand to the outside of the right leg. Find a twist to the right, towards your front leg. Keeping the hips really nice and level behind you. Then maybe you start reaching out. Maybe this is as far as you can reach. That's all good. We just want to see how far we can get and still draw the shoulder blade onto the back. Last breath. Release the hand, unravel, bend the knees, step forward, root to rise, press down, sweep up, reach up. Exhale, palms through heart center. Let's just finish with a little bit of a balancing posture. So we're at the top of our mat here. We're gonna bring our feet fairly close together, and then coming up onto the ball of the right foot, we wanna keep the hips nice and level. You're gonna, again, glide that leg bone in the hip socket. So we did this quite a bit from lying down. See if it feels any different from standing. Letting the knees soften open, you can start to glide the foot up the opposite leg. Just be careful you don't stop right on the knee joint. We wanna be either above or below with our hips level. From here, we're gonna draw the arms open into a T. So you wanna think about drawing the shoulder blades away from the ears towards each other. We're just gonna hold the T with the arms here. If you want a little bit more opening, you can rotate the palms to the sky, start to press the thumbs together behind you. Just be mindful that you don't crane your head forward and you don't pop your ribs forward. One nice big inhale. Nice big exhale. Release the arms, release the legs. Let's give that a wiggle. Let's flow in between sides, so reach the arms up. Exhale, folding forward, hinging at the hips, belly to thighs. Inhale, half lift, long spine, holding here. Bend the knees to send the bum back. Root to rise, press down, sweep up, reach up, arms go overhead. Exhale, palms through heart center. And then we'll have them land on the hips. Let's come into the left side. So coming nice and high onto the ball of the left toes, find a gentle glide of the left leg bone in the left hip socket. So notice my hips are really nice and stable here. I'm just opening as far as I can before the hip moves. I could go further, but then my whole hip comes. That's not what we want. We want to isolate this movement at the left hip crease. And then we're going to hold open, glide the foot up the opposite leg. So same thing, I could lift my leg higher, but then my hip starts to lift. And we want to make sure we're staying nice and level. From here, let's add the T shape in the arm. So already we want to think about drawing the shoulder blades back and down. We can start with the palms forward, and then we'll rotate them to the sky, pressing the thumbs together behind you, heavy rib cage. Long spine, long back of the neck, steady breath, but allow yourself to catch any wobble. Balancing is always interesting on carpet. From here, release the arms, release the leg, give that a wiggle. With an inhale, let the arms sweep up overhead, and then exhale, folding forward, hinging at the hips, head hangs heavy. Inhale, half lift, long spine, holding here, bend the knees, send the bum back. So be careful you're not drawing forward, send the bum back. Root to rise, push into your feet, sweep up, reach up, exhale, palms through heart center. Allow yourself to let the eyes fall closed or soften the gaze downward. And just allow yourself a few breaths just to check in and notice how you feel. Notice how your breath moves through your body. And then allowing the base of the thumbs to draw through the third eye center. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that short yin yang practice. Let me know what you think. If you have any requests, I am here for you. So let me know, and I hope to see you soon.